Big Dash knows what?
So, what's going on, people? The New York Giants versus the Washington Commanders. That's what's going on. Rivalry week. The New York Giants are throwing the throwbacks back on again. The jerseys we were so excited about the debut last year. We're throwing on those jerseys with the Giants on the helmet, the dark blue helmets. That's what we're doing. That's what we're having this week against the Washington Commanders, and I love it. And I think the momentum that we kind of built last week against the Buffalo Bills, I think we could take some of the good that we had in that game and push that forward to this Washington Commanders game. Because here's the thing, I need a win. The New York Giants need a win. We are 1-5 right now. You can't be 1-6. So this is one of those games where if you plan on finally waking up and getting this thing steered in the right direction, it has to be. It has to be with the Washington Commanders. Like that if we would have won the game last week against the Bills, we would have had some great momentum going into this game, but we didn't. Obviously, pass interference. I got to move on from that. Can't keep crying over spilled milk. But the Washington Commanders coming to MetLife, the New York Giants with the throwback legacy jerseys, and hopefully good things should happen. Good things should happen. If I'm not mistaken, I believe we are undefeated in those jerseys. And let's try to keep that streak going. So again, the New York Giants versus the Washington Commanders. Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Now, the New York Giants are dealing with some injuries. Obviously, Daniel Jones most likely will not be playing. He was cleared to throw the ball. Again, cleared to just throw the ball, was not cleared for contact. Brian Daboll made that clear today during the presser. A couple of guys also still not playing. Andrew Thomas still not playing. I would like to know what grade of tear he's dealing with that hamstring. John Michael Schmitz with the shoulder is going to be out. Evan Neal did not practice because of the ankle. Joshua Zuda was put on IR. You know what? Wan'Dale Robinson with the knee, and that's more of a rest day. Again, this is what Brian Daboll was talking about earlier today. So you're sitting here dealing with all these injuries, but the New York Giants did make a couple of moves. They went ahead and signed Justin Pugh. We kind of figured that was going to happen. They also went ahead and signed Tyree Phillips off of the Philadelphia Eagles practice squad. So we got Tyree Phillips back. And here's the thing with Tyree Phillips. If you follow me, you remember the initial roster cuts, and it was a head scratcher to me why Tyree Phillips did not make the 53, but guys like Shane Lemieux and Matt Peart did. Okay, it is what it is. We got Tyree Phillips back, and I'm pretty sure he might play a pretty decent or pretty big role, in this week's game. In order to get Justin Pugh signed, I believe we waived Lawrence Cager. So now the New York Giants have two tight ends in the presser. Daboll was asked about Cager, and obviously the plan is to bring back Cager to the practice squad to have that ability to, elevate him, if need be. But right now, the New York Giants only have two tight ends, Bellinger and Waller. But you have to have another tight end on this roster as soon as possible. Unless you're planning on doing jumbo packages and Tyree Phillips is back to be the jumbo tight end or something like that, you need to add another tight end to this roster. And again, the plan is for them to re-sign Cager to the practice squad and have that ability to elevate him when needed. So the Washington Commanders are having a pretty good season. They are 3-3. The record of 3-3, solid record for them, especially when you're talking about the NFC East. You got Philly at the top, Dallas, and then Washington, and then we're pretty much scraping the bottom of the barrel with that 1-5 record. But again, if there's any game that the New York Giants are successful in, it's versus the Washington Commanders. So with me, I wouldn't say my expectations are high, but I do have a better feeling that the New York Giants can pull off a victory, and it's crazy to say that, pull off a victory, but pull off a victory against the Washington Commanders. I think that's something that's absolutely possible. And should be possible if the defense can build off what they did last week going into this Washington Commanders team, which they still have their struggles with the offensive line. Sam Howell is having a pretty good season, But again, he is a guy that's young that can make mistakes. If the New York Giants defense can show up like they did against the Bills, we absolutely have a good chance of winning this game. Now, the defense for the Washington Commanders is pretty stout. They got names all across that defensive line. When you're looking at Young, when you're looking at Payne and Sweat and those guys, they have the names. They can get pressure with their four. And the New York Giants' weakness is the offensive line. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a hard-fought, tough game, low-scoring game, just because our offensive line and their offensive line pretty much can't hack it or get it done for the most part. So I think it becomes, a pretty even game when you think about that. And then next, you're looking at the quarterbacks. For me, I don't believe Daniel Jones is going to play. I think it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. And then you're looking at Sam Howell, who has had his ups and downs this season. But he's playing more good than bad. And on the presser today, or at the presser today, Brian Daboll's asked about Sam Howell, and he seems to be like a pretty good fan of Sam Howell. Said he scouted him in college. He liked him coming out of college, and he said one thing about that stood out to me is that he's not afraid to let it go. And Brian Daboll did not have to say that. He did not have to point out that thing or that I guess that trait for Sam Howell of willing to throw the ball downfield or willing to throw the ball or let it go. Because when you're thinking about our quarterback in a situation that we're dealing with, is we have a guy that's not letting it go with Daniel Jones. You have guys that are open, but you just won't let it go. And then he's talking about Sam Howell and just put a point of emphasis on Sam Howell is willing to throw the ball. So I think, not saying that he's throwing shots, but, he's making it apparently clear. If you want to say it's a side shot or something like that, then, call it what it is. But he's not lying. He's telling the truth. That's the one issue we're having with Daniel Jones, amongst other issues, is being able to let the ball go, throw the ball downfield, take the chances, and give your playmakers the ability or the chance to make those plays. So I think it was pretty cool how he talked about the Washington Commanders, talked about the defense being stout, talked about the offensive line, talked about a lot of aspects of their game, talked about some former players that he coached that are actually on the Commanders as well. So, just like any other NFC East game, we're pretty familiar with the guys on those rosters for those teams. We kind of have an idea of what the game plan is going to be. Theirs against us and us against them. And now it's just all about execution, all about moving forward. It's all about execution. And again, I need the New York Giants to win this game. I need to be 2-5 Sunday afternoon. I need to be 2-5. I want us to go on a 3-game winning streak. I can see these next 3 games, the Commanders, the Jets, the Raiders, those are all winnable games, and we need all of those. I would love, for after the next 3 weeks for the New York Giants to be 4-5. I would love that. That puts us right back into the runnings, right back into a wild card spot, possibly, if the New York Giants can take care of business. But it all starts this week against the Washington Commanders. And I think with a healthy Saquon, getting his legs back under him and doing those things, I like our chances with Saquon. Another guy that against Washington seems to have some pretty good games. Tyrod Taylor, another week, to get his legs under him, actually playing, something to prove, has a chip on his shoulder, left some plays on the field last week, had some mistakes last week that could have cost us a game, or I should say could possibly be the reason why we lost the game. So he has something to prove too. And again, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to play. So Tyrod Taylor gets another shot to bring another victory, the second victory of the season, to the New York Giants and the fan base. So I absolutely think it's possible for these guys to go out there and get a victory from the Washington Commanders. I love it for the fan base because we get to talk trash back and forth, and if we end up winning this game, then you already know the spaces on Twitter are going to be popping after the game. It's going to be some I told you so's, this, that, and the third trash talk. That's probably going to happen. Some people probably won't show up, this, that, and the third. But I need the New York Giants to win this game, period. We have to beat Washington. We have to get these division wins. If we're trying to make a late run, possibly for a wild card spot, and I know it's crazy me saying that, but again, we're not mathematically out yet. But we already know the emotions, you know, in this fan base is that the season's over. We need to go ahead and focus on the draft. But we mathematically, that is not the situation yet. But fan how you want to fan, you know, root how you want to root. But again, the New York Giants, me, when it comes to Sunday, I am rooting for the win, never the tank. And I really need this game. I really need this game against the Washington Commanders. So that's going to be the quick video preview, if you want to call it that, of the New York Giants versus the Washington Commanders. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.